So, throwback to little troublemaker Avery in junior high school. And the punishment system at Rochester, for some reason, was structured in the following way. It was like, you got in trouble once, detention. You got in trouble second time, detention also. You got in trouble a third time, you couldn't ride the bus for a week, which didn't seem like a logical jump, but, I didn't make the rules. I was a little bit of a troublemaker and near the end of my junior high experience. So, I went to step 3 and I couldn't ride the bus. But luckily, I had my mom who would drop me off at school in the morning and pick me up at school after and give me rides home. Unfortunately, the punishment lasted for a week, and I had to ride every day but Friday when my mom was out of town. So Friday came along, my mom was out of town, and my grandma was supposed to pick me up. So I went to school that morning, went through classes, got to the end of the day, walked down to the parking lot, and no grandma. I was like, okay. I waited a little bit, and then I called her, and I was like, hey, Grandma, I'm at school. Where are you? And she said, well, I'm at home. Your mom told me to wait for you at home. And I said, well, I can't ride the bus, so I need you to come get me. And she's like, well, your mom told me to wait for you at home. And I was like, okay, but I can't get there from here. The weather's really bad. And she was like, okay, well, I'll see you in a bit. And she hung up. So I sat there for about 15 minutes and I was like, okay, Grandma is not coming to pick me up. I gotta walk home. And so it's super dark outside because it's the middle of December. There's snow everywhere. It's snowing. It's really cold. And I had like a hoodie. And so I had to walk home. So I started my trek, and as I began, I remembered that I had a horrible injury in my right foot that if I put too much pressure on it for too long, it would start bleeding, and it hurt a lot. So every step I took was just agony for like the 2-mile walk home. And so I walked, and I made it through all the pain to the edge of my neighborhood. And there, at the edge of my neighborhood, right as I walked in, was my friend's house. And my friend had these dogs who would just bark at anyone who came by. They looked vicious, but they were usually in a cage. And so today they weren't in the cage for some reason. And I was walking by, and they just started barking. And I was like, I can do this. I'm not going to die. I can get by these dogs, and they will not kill me today. And so I started walking with like the hushed tones of like, okay, nice doggies. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to hurt you. Just passing through. And then one of them barked at me and looked at me, and I was like, nope. And I gunned it all the way home. I sprinted for like half a mile, which I was not athletic back then. So like that was the hardest I'd ever sprinted in my life. I got home. I burst through the door, threw my bags on the ground, started panting, looked over on the couch, and there's good old Grandma hanging out with some cookies, watching NCIS. And I was like, completely out of breath, obviously in a lot of pain. And she just looks over and goes, how was your day?